So in yesterday's class, we were talking about the desirable properties of soil as subgrade material. Okay. So it should have stability, incompressibility, permanency of strength, then minimum changes in volume and stability, even under adverse condition of weather and groundwater. Then it should have good drainage properties. It should be easy for compaction. Then subbase and base course also we have seen. So in that we discussed about it is better to have smaller sized, right? Smaller sized aggregates, smaller sized graded aggregate instead of having the big aggregates. The next is the functions of subbase layer. Okay. So first and so about subgrade you have subbase. Now this is generally about subbase and base course. Then let us take each one individually. Subgrade, subbase, base course, then your bituminous layer. So next is subbase. So subbase will provide additional help to the base and surface courses in distributing the load. Okay. So whatever the load coming on from the pavement or the bituminous layer, it's coming down through base to the through base, then subbase to the subgrade. Okay. So this will provide, if more base course is there, additional thickness will be there, and the stresses that's coming in the subgrade layer will be less. Next one is to prevent intrusion of fine-grained subgrade soil into base course. You know, the subgrade, it's soil, no, it will be finer material. But when it comes to base course, these are aggregates. You have aggregates, then filler you have obviously, but aggregates you have. So it's somewhat open graded, right? So this fine soil particle, it should not mix with the base course layer. So you can provide an intermediate layer between the base and the subgrade. That intermediate layer is subbase course. The next, to minimize the damaging effect of frost action. Once the water happens to enter inside, if you're directly providing, say if you have subgrade and base course, then if water happens, either it will be there in subgrade or in the base course. To avoid that, can have in between this subbase, and this will reduce the effect of frost action. Because the one of the property of subbase is to have drainage properties. So this is some of the, there will be lot of voids, or you will be checking for the permeability also. That's why then to facilitate the drainage of free water that might get accumulated under the pavement. So whenever you're designing your pavement, you want your pavement to be impermeable. Right, so it should not allow the water to percolate inside. Suppose it happens to percolate inside either through some damages or some pores or some cracks or from the sides, right? So there are a number of ways the water can enter into the pavement. Suppose if it enters also, it should be able to drain off this water from the pavement such that it's not affecting or clogging or blocking there, which will damage the pavement. Okay, so this layer, the subbase layer, it should facilitate the drainage of free water that might accumulated under the pavement. The next one, if the base course is open graded means there will be lot of voids will be there. In the sense you will be using close graded, open graded, close graded. Open graded means you will have aggregates of bigger size and mostly of bigger size only. Closed graded means you will have aggregates of bigger size, but in the same way you will have aggregates of smaller size such that the voids in the bigger size aggregates will be filled by the smaller aggregates. Okay, so voids will be less in closed graded. Any mix, it need not be of base course, of any mix. So open graded is what voids will be there. So if the base course is open graded, then the subbase course with more fines can serve as a filler between the subgrade and the base course. Other one, it's already mentioned even in rigid payment that a base course is not always needed. Okay, it's inflexible also. Same case, if you have very good say subgrade soil having good CBR, then in that case you can even avoid sub-base course also. Okay, that for example a pavement constructed over a high quality stiff subgrade may not need the additional features offered by a sub-base course. In such situations you can avoid this sub-base course also. Then directly above the subgrade you can provide this base course. Okay. Then function of base course, so to act as a structural. So the main structural portion of the pavement is base course, and thus this will distribute the load to the lower layers. So this is to prevent in. So if you're not providing sub base, what will happen? This base course will act as an intermediate between your top surface or the bituminous surface and the soil layer. So main function of subbase is to have the structural portion of pavement to withstand the load. Then comes the top surface course. The surface course is a layer in contact with the traffic load, and so it's there. So more or less this will have the more wear and tear due to traffic or direct contact of the vehicle. Other one also, you know that the maximum stress also that's there in the top surface or the surface course. So this provides, so it should have highest quality material, and it provides characteristics such as friction, smoothness. First you want your pavement to be smooth enough. In the same way it should have sufficient this skid resistance properties also. So friction also you should consider. There are many equipments where you can check the friction of the road. Nowadays we are checking. Earlier we were not testing that property, but now you have to check for the frictional properties of the pavement. Okay, both rigid and flexible also. So you can check for the, it should have a characteristics of friction, smoothness, noise control, rut, and shoving resistance and drainage. Rut and shoving is the distress that is occurring in pavement. Rut means it's a depressions. You can see many depressions in the roads. Okay, and you can just watch over there. So if you see this depression over the wheel path alone, okay, just that is parallel to the center line. Depressions that's occurring parallel to the center line or along the wheel path is called rutting. Throughout the wheel path, this depressions will be there. You can notice this defect. So many roads you can see this. So depressions that's occurring along the wheel path. That's called rutting. Okay, and but depressions can occur in any part of the pavement. That's called general depression. Okay, small localized one, that's different. If it is occurring in the wheel path for the entire, even if the wheel path is for it can, this rutting effect can be for the kilometers throughout the wheel path. That's rutting. Okay. Then shoving means you can see some materials might have it is moved from there. You can feel a wavy nature in the pavement. That's called shoving distress. So you should have your surface course in such a way that it should not have rut or shoving. So it should be rut and shoving resistance, and it should be easy for drainage purpose also. So in addition to that, so it should serve to prevent the entrance of excessive quantities of surface water into the underlying. So it should be impermeable. It should not allow the water to percolate inside the pavement. Okay, so surface course, it's a layer which is in direct contact with traffic load, and it's normally consists of the it should have highest quality material because it's in direct contact with traffic load, and also the stress is higher here. And so it provides characteristics such as friction, smoothness, noise control, rut, and shoving resistance and drainage. Okay. In addition to that, it should prevent the entrance of water to the pavement. So wearing course, the top course it should have smooth riding surface. Okay. And it should resist the pressure exerted by, so this whatever the pressure due to tires that's coming directly into the wearing force, so it should be able to resist the pressure exerted by the tires, and it should take up the wear and tear due to traffic also. And we have seen it should be water resistant. It should not allow the water to percolate inside, so it should act as a watertight layer against surface water infiltration. So in case of flexible pavement, you are using bituminous surface. In case of rigid pavement, you are using either cement, concrete, slab, with both the base and wearing force. And the type of surface, what the type, so which surface you have to provide, that depends on what are the materials available to you, then what's the equipment you have, then magnitude of surface load, what's the load coming on the particular surface. So bituminous surface, either it can be wearing or a binder course. So that depends on the traffic. Other is, so this is important for designs. If you are providing a wearing course where like premix carpet, it's a type of a wearing course. If you are providing this wearing course like premix carpet, and if the thickness what you are adopting is 25 mm or lesser than this, then while calculating the total thickness of the pavement, you need not consider this. You need not consider this 25 mm thickness while while calculating the total thickness. Say suppose what it meant is, say your sub base course is of 200, then your base course of 100, say wearing course of 25. So this 200 and 100 alone will be, it is for, if somebody is asking you what's the total thickness, this adds only this 200 and 100, not the 25, because here the premix carpet only, if the thickness is 25 or lesser than that, it won't be counted for the total thickness of the pavement. Same thing for design also. You need not provide or design separately this 25 mm thickness as a separate layer. It won't be considered as a separate layer. Then the seal coat, tack coat, prime coat. Anyway, this will be explained in your pavement construction part later. So as an introduction, the seal coat, so what you see, this is a thin surface which you have to provide on the top, right? So it should have the main properties, it should be waterproof, then it should provide skid resistance also. Then about the materials using and all, I'll be taking later. But mostly you will be using like thin layer as for emulsion or cutback, bitumen coat, tack coat, prime coat, etc. So tack coat is a very light application of asphalt and bitumen. Okay, here I might be using both terms, but both are same. Okay, even though the slight difference between this, asphalt or that's because earlier, but most of this US terminology is asphalt. In UK, it will be using bitumen. White asphalt, because of that contains asphaltenes. No, earlier like asphalt lakes were there. As you are obtaining this petroleum, you have this asphalt lakes, but it is nowadays it's mostly from the petroleum product only. That's why it's called asphalt. So using bitumen or asphalt emulsion I mentioned to you, where this bitumen is mixed with water or diluted with water. So once if you are laying, this water will get evaporated, and it's this bitumen, it will be charged particle. As this is charged, this will join together to form a thin layer. So this will provide a proper bonding between two layers of binder course, okay, or two layers of binder course, or between an old and a new layer also. So this, it might be thin, uniformly cover the entire surface and set very fast. It's very important whenever you are laying this tack coat or prime coat, and it should be laid very thin layer. It should not, you should not just pour just a light. Then what will happen is this tack coat can just project or come out of the payment. It can be ejected out of the payment. So you might be seeing in new payments and all, you can see very glossy layer will be there. If you are providing so more tack coat, in through some at pores or cracks, this can come out. So it should be provided with very thin layer and should be uniform also. In some part you should not pour more or less in some way. So it should be uniformly cover the entire surface and try to see that it's setting at very fast rate. Then prime coat, this is an application of low viscous cutback bitumen. Again cutback bitumen. This bitumen, if you are just mixing with some solvents like kerosene or naphthalene, you will get cutback bitumen. Different varieties of cutback bitumen are there, depends on what solvents you are using into it. So this prime coat is an application of low viscous cutback bitumen to an absorbent surface. Absorbent surface, that's a granular base course, no? Because these are granular material. There's a lot of voids in that one. So your bitumen, whenever your heart is pouring it, it will just absorb this. So this provides a bonding between two layers between your base course and the bituminous layers. So unlike the tack coat, prime coat will penetrate into the layer below. Because tack coat is provided over the existing bituminous surface, prime coat is provided over the granular surface. So what this prime coat will do, it will just penetrate into the granular layer and this will plug the voids and forms a watertight surface. Okay. So that's about the different test layers. So we have seen the functions of all this. So you have the subgrade, subgrade. This is subgrade thing. So even though the very less stress is coming, but you should see that there's lesser stress also. It should be within the allowable limit of the particular type of soil, and it is better. You should compact the top at least 30 to 50 centimeter of subgrade soil with its maximum dry density with optimum moisture content. Then these are the desirable properties of soil. Then subbase, its function is to have an additional support to base and surface course. Then it should prevent the intrusion of fine-grained subgrade soil. Then it should minimize the damaging effect due to frost action. Then it should provide drainage. Okay, if you have good subgrade, even you can avoid subbase also. Base course, it's to act as a structural portion of the pavement and distributing the loads to the lower layer. Then surface course, the highest quality material you should use because the traffic load is directly coming over there, and also there will be wear and tear due to the direct contact of the vehicles. Okay, and it should see that it should have smoothness. Then should check for the skid resistance, noise quality. Okay, all this, it should not allow the water to penetrate inside. All these properties you should check for the bituminous surfacing. Seal coat, it's a thin surface treatment above the top surface. Then tack coat, that's between the two bituminous layers, or between an old and new bituminous layer. Then prime coat is applied above the granular base course and to the bituminous layer. So this should be able to plug the voids in the base course layer, and it will provide a proper bonding also between the base and the bituminous layer. Next is comparison of highway Students, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know today what's happening. Hmm. 1 second. So this next is comparison of highway and airport payment. There is some changes or some points we have to consider whenever you are designing for a highway and for airport payments. Okay. So there are some difference. So first one, what it's given here is number of load repetitions. Load repetitions means, say, consider if you are taking a highway in an hour itself, or here it's given day, maybe here now it's more than that, there will be more vehicles. No, it's given 100 to 2000 per day. Now it's more than 5000 vehicles per day. It's a busy highway, right? But the number of aircrafts flying or landing and takeoff, it is less compared to the number of vehicles. So airport means 500 to 25,000 repetitions of load during the entire design life. During the entire design life of the payment, you will get only these types. Maybe a higher part now, but anyway it is lesser than highway. So here the highway payment, the load repetitions are more, or the number of vehicles are very high in case of highway payment. But if you consider the gross weight of the vehicle, okay, so normal weight of a truck for military case and other special vehicles, or if it is a multiple wheel, okay, in that case it will be a multi-wheel vehicle. In that its height is, but normally it will be around 10 or some 15 tons, right? Your small trucks and all. But if you're considering the airport load, okay, weight of it will be more than 350 tons. So the gross weight coming on the highway payment from an individual vehicle is less, but in case of airport the weight is very high. Next is tire pressure. Tire pressure of highway payment, so usually 6 kilogram per centimeter square. Say suppose it will range from actually 0.5 to 8, sorry, but if it is 0.5 to zero point 0.8 megapascal, or 5 to 8 kilogram per centimeter square. Usually for flexible payment design, you will be considering as 0.56 MPa. Okay, but for that 6 kilogram per centimeter square. But for airport payment, the tire pressure is high, around 28 kilogram per centimeter square. So your design is different. Okay, there. Then other one, just read, just listen here carefully here. Thickness of a given pavement for a given wheel load and tire pressure. Suppose somebody is giving you to ask you to design both a highway and airport pavement, and you had kept your wheel load as same, and tire pressure is same, wheel load and tire pressure is same, then you can expect thicker pavement section for the highway because the number of vehicles are high. If wheel load and tire pressure is same, then you can expect thicker pavement for highway because of the higher repetition of loads. But airport pavement lesser thickness due to less repetition of load, only when the wheel load and tire pressure is same. Okay. Other one, width of the pavement. See, width of the pavement means total width of the pavement. That depends on number, how many lanes. So for a single lane, what's the width of the pavement? 3.7 or the 3.7 or 3.75 meter. Okay, if it is single lane road. But if it's multi-lane road and all, for each lane, you will have 3.5 meter per lane. All this you will be studying in your geometric design. What is the width of the different categories of roads? No single lane, and for multi-lane road, each lane you have 3.5 meters. So if it's a double lane road, you'll have 7 meter width. Okay. So this 3.5, but you can see the runway. Well, what's the width there? It's 22.5 meter or even up to 45 meter runways also you can see. So the width is more in case of airport or runway payments. Then failure, usually these are general statements. It's not for always. Okay. So failure of rigid. If you have rigid type of payment, in case of highway, there will be pumping distress. Pumping distress means, say in rigid payment, you can see joints in between. No, joints are there. Say suppose if you have weaker payment, or if the water happens to enter inside, what will happen is this water will come out even after raining stops also, this water will come out of the pavement through the joints or cracks in it. Okay. So if along with the water, if some finer particle is also coming, then it's called pumping distress. Pumping. Okay. Water, along with the water, some finer material, if the soil is very fine, along with that some this material also will come out of the pavement through the joint. This is called pumping distress. Okay, especially if it's on playing subgrade and all. And usually for airport payments, such distress is not generally noticed. And other is failure of flexible. If you are providing flexible payment, this distress will be there at payment edges. Edges means on edge of the payment, you can just notice it. Edges, cracks won't be there on the edges, but cracks will be there towards the edges. The problem with this is, no, you are using your rollers or compacting. It might be difficult for these equipments to compact thoroughly on the edges. So you can see more distress on the edges part. But airport, most of the distresses are seen in the center region. Okay. So this is the difference between a highway and airport payment. Yes. Thanks. So this is the difference between a highway and airport payments. So load reputations. So this higher, more number of vehicles are there in highway payments, and less number of air landing or takeoff it's there as far as airport payment is considered. And gross load, you can see the normal weight of truck is comparatively lesser than the aircraft weight. Tire pressure is more for airport in case of aircraft tires and all. And then thickness, if you are giving wheel load and tire pressure same, you can expect more thickness for the highway payment because of the more number of repetitions. The width of the pavement is per lane 3.5 meter for a highway. It's 22.5 to 45 meter for runways and all. And failure of rigid pavement in case of highways, usually it will have pumping distress is commonly seen, not so in case of airport. If it's a flexible pavement you are using, the distress at the pavement edges is more, and distress towards the center is more common in airport payments. Then factors affecting the design and performance of payment. So what are the main factors? Why? So generally I'll do one thing, I'll just tell you this, but I'll explain in later classes after taking the materials. Okay. So factors, one is the most common thing is traffic, then climate, then geometry of the payment, its position and all, where you are laid the payment. Okay. Whether it's cut or fill, what is the depth of the water table, whether it's affected by landslide, etc. Then traffic also, there are many things you have to consider, like what's the load of the pavement, tire pressure, then what's the properties of subgrade paving material, repetition of load means number of vehicles, then radius of load influence, speed, axle and wheel configurations, etc. Okay. This I'll take in next class. So next class what I'll do, I'll just move on to the material. This is a general introduction about this payment. I just wanted to tell you what is the difference between a flexible and rigid payment, then what are the different components of it. All these components, even it's vaguely only told here, it's there about the material what you're using is coming in in your next unit in payment construction. So there I'll be telling, so what are the different materials or composition it's called. Say if it is base course, you can have WBM, WMM, where you are using this. What is the composition? How to construct this different this components of layers in both flexible and rigid payment. Rigid payment also how to construct the base course. Then you have DLC, that's called Riley concrete. Then about the PQC, pavement quality concrete. And cement concrete only, the difference is there in design. So how to construct. Now you might have seen this paver. No, at pavers, different equipments are used for this. So all this you can see in pavement construction in detail. So next class what I am going to teach is on pavement materials. Now materials you have subgrade is there, but subgrade won't be dealt in detail because this you will be studying in your geotechnical engineering. Now, what are the properties of soil? Even for this road construction also you should have the property. You should check what are the tests to be conducted in soil. You will be studying on the this grain size analysis. This grain size analysis, then liquid limit, plastic limit, properties, CBR value, then compaction test. All this we'll be studying in geotechnical, even though that's also used for the subgrade property checking also. Then about the bitumen, what are the properties of bitumen, what are the type, you have the different, like bitumen is there, then cutback bitumen, emulsion. So what is the difference between this? How? So and where? What's the application of where you are using this? Then apart from that, you have commonly used term is crumb, rubber, modified, bitumen and all. Bitumen you can add some modifiers such that to improve the properties of the existing bitumen. Suppose I need a pavement which should not have a crack at all or rutting at all. Some for specific purpose also you can use some modifiers. Commonly, common modifiers what you are using is rubber. Now crumb rubber or natural rubber also you can use. Then different types of polymer, that's called PMD, polymer modified bitumen you can use. Nowadays we are using plastic model. We can add plastic into the bitumen also. Okay, so different types and what is the application of all this will be studied in this. Then this is called different bitumen. Then apart from that, you have to study about the properties of bituminous mixture. Bitumen, it's not directly used there, you are mixing it with aggregate and other filler material. So how the properties changes when it is mixed, when the bitumen is mixed with an aggregate or a filler material, that's called the bituminous mixes. The test to be conducted for this bituminous mixes, one thing is how you are preparing this bituminous mixer, other is what are the properties or tests to be conducted for this bituminous mixture is also important. Okay, how to prepare that, then what are the tests, how to find the stability of the mix, how stable your mix is, what is the strength of the mix. Okay, all this, whether voids is there, this property should be checked. Okay, that will be studied in this payment materials. But apart from that, I'll be giving you what are the various tests to be conducted and what is the specification of this test. But the thing is, all these tests you have to do it in the lab as part of the this highway and payment lab in the next semester, not this semester. So test will be explained here so we won't be explaining that in the next class. Next this semester we will be doing all these experiments in the lab. Okay. That's all for today's section. Any doubt from the portions which I have covered or anything?